Greetings to my respected elders, my brothers and my sisters, and to all those who are not yet believers. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. All praise belongs to Allah and only Allah. We send blessings and peace upon the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and all of his followers until the day of recompense. So I was asked a question on how sisters are able to protect themselves when seeking out marriage, because a lot of brothers are only interested in green cards for American citizenship and things of that nature. Well, if you are a revert to Islam and you have no Muslim father or wali, this is the importance of the community that you belong to. An imam or a sheikh or a respected elder of the community can then act as a wali and vet this brother who seeks your marriage. Another thing that I would recommend is thoroughly getting to know them within the boundaries that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed for us. You can get to know them in a non-haram way, okay? And a good indication that somebody may be just after citizenship or green card or something like that would be that that's what the focus of their conversation is about. It is not on Islam, or it's not on what you as a woman believe in and what your deen is like. Navigating the world of relationships is difficult enough out here just living in the dunya, let alone without the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is why there is such a major importance placed on the boundaries of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we stay within the guidelines and the boundaries of Allah, then we'll be fine, inshallah. There are exceptions to the rule where brothers may be very good at acting and pretending that they actually want marriage, and however they still are seeking possibly just citizenship status. Remember that there are 4 reasons to marry, okay? One is for beauty, one is for riches, one is for deen, and one is for status or lineage. So, with those being the 4 reasons to marry, I'm not sure if citizenship status would fall under that heading or not. That is a question for the ulama. It's a question for the scholars. I recommend Islam QA as a valuable resource for questions and answers, as from my experience they've been fairly good, mashallah, at answering things in what seems to be backed by Quran and Hadith. Allah knows best. But the main thing is to use your wise discernment and use your judgment, okay? And be honest with yourself. Give yourself an honest assessment of what you have to offer as far as those 4 qualities are, okay? Brothers are looking for, sincere brothers who are looking for marriage are looking for agreeableness. We want sisters who are agreeable in nature, not argumentative. That doesn't mean that you are never correct about anything, but what that means is there's a beautiful way to give correction, and then there is a disrespectful way to give correction. And Allah knows best. So, that is one of the main traits that we're looking for. Of course, beauty is a concern, is an issue. We want the most beautiful. But women, sisters, you guys also want the most beautiful too. right? You guys want the most beautiful brother that you can find. However, beauty needs to be a last concern. If you're looking for a relationship that will actually last, then you need to give yourself an honest assessment of what it is that you have to offer. And just because you may have be on top of your deen, mashallah, does not mean that you will get a brother with the looks of the Prophet Yusuf. May Allah be pleased with him. All right. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the description of Brother Yusuf, he was just obviously so beautiful as a man that he just could not be, like, everywhere he went, he was sought after by the ladies. So if you give yourself an honest assessment on a scale of 1 to 10, don't seek after a 10 if you are a 5. I don't care what social media has you believing or your filters. Don't do that, because you're setting yourself up for disappointment, and you're setting yourself up for heartbreak, and you're setting yourself up to get taken advantage of, okay? So you have to be honest first and foremost with yourself. And secondly, you have to know what it is that your value system is about. And if a brother doesn't present himself to have the qualities being solid on his deen, then totally disregard that situation. You're doing it for the sake of Allah. When you seek out companionship, and you do so with a sense of urgency and desperation, then you get urgent and desperate results. You have to have faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and sabr. Remember to be patient. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does what he chooses within his own time. And by all means, sisters, do not, under any circumstance, just go out here and fall for whatever these brothers may or may not be proposing to you, okay? If they're not willing to have a conversation with your father or with your wali, disregard them, because this is a solid principle of our religion. This is a solid principle of our deen. So that, number one, should be a great indication that this brother is not serious, or he is not seriously on his deen. You know why they must talk to your father or your wali or your brother, whoever is acting as your protector, is because we as men are not as easily deceived. Okay? Women have by nature a more trusting spirit. They have by nature a more trusting spirit. They are generally more easy to deceive because they have a more trusting spirit. And that makes it very difficult, I know, because we live in a world full of I hate to say it, but fake people. And I blame social media for this, because we're allowed to present ourselves as one thing all over our Facebook, when in reality we're not giving you our best or our worst foot forward. We're giving you our best foot forward. So it makes it very deceptive. Just because a brother has a beard and wears a kufi does not mean that he is solid on following his deen. You have to judge that based on the character of the man, inshallah. And just because a sister wears a hijab does not mean that she is on her deen. Allah knows best. But we have to remember that you can be deceptive. People can be deceptive. I have seen honey drip from the tongue of snakes. Okay? So keep that in mind. But the main thing that I would recommend, first and foremost, is relying on your community. If you don't belong to a community, you can seek out a community online that is more local to your area. All right? That may not mean that you can travel there every week for Jummah or every week for class, but there are a lot of these masjids that have programs online. They do maybe like sisters only classes, and they broadcast them via YouTube or whatever other streaming service they may use, whether it be Google Meet or Microsoft Teams or something along those lines. There are ways to go about it, but the main thing is to not be desperate and to seek out these things in haste. Be patient. Be patient, and may Allah make it easy for you to remain patient with that without hardship. I mean, also, brothers out there who are seeking a wife, also be patient. Also do things in the proper manner, okay? If you have something to offer, then you need to be honest about that in your assessment, and also in the way you present yourself to these sisters. If you are 50 years old and you seek a wife, and the wali of the wife is no longer living, then there has to be a means of which you go about this Islamically. You know, there's some deep issues. Contact an imam, contact the sheikh, contact the ulama. There are ways to go about it. I know that there are some ulama who even allow writing letters, although it may take several months for a response because they're overwhelmed with a lot of letters and things. But alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, it's worth it. It's worth it. Be patient, and remember that Islam is a journey. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. We run this for the course of our life, inshallah. So it's a very trying society that we live in, and I'm well aware and I understand, especially living in Western countries. May Allah make it easy for all Muslims who living in the U.S. and Canada and all these other westernized civilizations. Ameen. Also, may Allah protect and rescue the Muslims of Palestine for all the atrocities that they're experiencing. Ameen. But as far as this issue goes, that would be my first line of recommendation, inshallah. And Allah knows best. Anything right that I've said is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and anything wrong that I've said is from myself. So please, may Allah forgive me for any wrong that I have said. Ameen. With that being said, I hope that this helps someone, and inshallah we'll touch base further on it in future videos. Be sure and like and subscribe. Share this content with anybody that you think may find it useful. And remember, as always, until next time, that there's one God and one God only, and He alone is worthy of worship.